Morning everybody, and welcome to the end of week 2. So we have finally got really into and have finally sorted our routine. I think teachers and children are now very well into the routines of the full and expansive curriculum. We've got the forest schools in the Tulgey Wood and using others in the field and various other places on our expansive site. The Westcliff site is enjoying a fantastic time over there. I popped over this week and spent a lovely morning with children and reading and building bridges and various other bits and pieces. It was lovely to see the staff over there, and I think we're all pretty much settled and business as usual in terms of the education of children. Now, I have to say a huge thank you again. That is in no small way due down to your ability as parents to continue to drop off and pick up children at the right slots. And I know that there is traffic chaos outside the school gates that's making that extremely difficult. But we are so impressed at how you're managing to do to continue to do that. It makes all the difference. The children are arriving extremely calm and ready for their adventures in education in the day ahead, and that helps enormously at this time. So it's great to see children walking into school in the morning, and thank you very much indeed for continuing to adhere to all the guidance that we put out and negotiate those obstacles outside school. So thank you very much. Going to be putting out a survey shortly to all parents who have children or had children here over the summer, including our last year's Year 6. The survey is being run by the Independent Schools Council and is optional for schools to take part in. We're very keen to take part in it and gather your views and experiences. It's a very short survey. They say 10 minutes. It probably won't take 10 minutes to complete. It's a fairly short survey, but it's going to allow for an anonymised explanation from your perspective of how you felt the school managed the various aspects from over the summer term, over the lockdown, as experienced over the summer. So we're going to value huge opportunity to gather a truly anonymous survey. It goes straight back to the ISC. All they'll provide us with is the overall figures and anonymised comments. So I think that's going to be very valuable. Obviously, the situation is ever changing at the moment, and to know exactly how you felt about that will give us an opportunity to try and respond as we move forwards, if we are able to do so. So we'll see how that goes, but thank you very much indeed in advance for taking part in it. A quick word again about coughs and sneezes. We've got parents who are definitely and very understandably nervous about sending children in when their child's coughed or sneezed or has a bit of a sniffle and in the present situation. Please be reassured. We do appreciate that coughs and sneezes and sniffles are very much a part of the autumn term every year, and do not impact on the education of children, and really shouldn't do. It's important that children still come in as long as they are feeling well. And I think it's that inner sense of feeling well that really needs to be considered alongside of any particular symptom, unless they have those symptoms that have been defined, and they are quite significantly they're quite significant symptoms. So the first one is a high temperature. Well, a high temperature, almost invariably, if you've got a temperature of 37.8 or higher, you are not going to be feeling well. So I think that, and the NHS describe it as being not just obvious through a thermometer, but actually it's pretty obvious to touch. So the back and the chest will feel hot. The cough is a significant cough. It's not clearing your throat because it's a cold morning or you've just run or what have you. We're talking about a continuous cough. So for coughing a lot for more than an hour, or 3 or more coughing episodes in 24 hours. So, that's quite a considerable cough. That's not the kind of coughs that we normally see at this time of year in school. And then, of course, there's the loss of change of taste or smell. That's a harder thing to gauge because it isn't an external. You can't view it from the point of view of the parent. It can only be felt through the senses of the child. So that's a slightly more complicated one, and I appreciate that does become a difficulty. If a child, diagnoses that themselves at school, we will take that seriously and send them home. And that can lead, that will then lead to us having to put in those measures and having to put in those measures of sending up for a test and what have you. Getting hold of tests is obviously not that easy. We're doing what we can in the background to lobby our associations in order to lobby the government to sort this problem out and ensure that testing is easier to access and speedier than it seems to be at present. But we're going to have to adhere to our, the regimes from that point of view, and the expectations that tests are sought and got. They can be, they will then come back either as positive, so a positive diagnosis of COVID, and then the school will need to take significant action as a result of that. Negative, superb, come back to school, or not indicative, and that sort of indecisive middle ground decision is very complicated because you then still have to isolate, I'm afraid, until the end of the period. And so sending for a test is a considerable and burdensome situation at the moment. It is very important, but it is also important that educational time is not wasted by sending for tests when they're not necessary, or the diagnosis actually is clearly not a new continuous cough, for more than an hour, and so on and so forth. So please do go back to those statements each time before withdrawing a child. Otherwise, we are all going to be, staff and children alike, at some stage this term are going to be off, because who gets through the autumn term without a cough, a sneeze, or a sniffle, or or what have you? So let's and if you are concerned, if you want to talk that through with somebody, please do call the office. Okay, I think that's all I want to say at the moment. Thank you very much indeed for your continued support. And if there are issues, please do contact the school office or teachers through the usual methods. Thank you very much indeed. Have a lovely weekend.